Kakbhushundi arrived under the banyan tree, mentally invoked Sri Ram, and then began the story. Lakshman was sent by Sri Ram to get permission from his mother Sumitra to leave for the forest with Ram and Sita. Sumitra Devi's words, said Kakbhushundi, offer a profound teaching to all human mothers. He emphasized the word human because, as he said, we birds are able to completely let go of our young when they grow up. We do everything in our power to bring up our offspring, and then we let them fly away to lead their own lives without any strings attached. That is not always the case with human mothers. Then coming back to Sumitra, he said that she was as devastated as Kausalya when she heard the news of Ram's banishment to the forest. But Sumitra was a woman of great virtue. Her name itself means one who is the friend of all. With complete self-control, Sumitra gently told Lakshman that Ayodhya is where Ram is. She urged Lakshman to dedicate himself in thought, word and deed to the service of Ram. Henceforth, Ram and Sita would be his father and mother, and the forest would be his Ayodhya. The scriptures, said Kakbhushundi, emphasize that service to the Guru, father, mother, relative, and to Bhagwan is as important as one's life itself. Sumitra said that Lakshman's pure love for Ram was a great virtue, and she was so blessed to see that in her son. Kakbhushundi paused, and his eyes swept over his audience. You all, too, are most blessed, because your grandparents and parents used to come here to listen to this story from me, and now they have sent you. There is no better way to develop bhakti than to listen to these endearing stories. And once bhakti takes root in the heart, nothing can devastate us anymore. At that, one timid pheasant cried out, Will bhakti stop me from weeping when the snake steals the eggs from my nest? With bhakti, replied Kakbhushundi, you will accept that tragedy more calmly, because you will understand that you simply cannot do anything about it. All things happen by the will of Bhagwan, and he is the master of everyone and everything. How can we claim that anything in the world belongs to us? All we can do is to love Bhagwan and trust him. But, insisted the pheasant, my mate and I spent so much time building our nest and preparing for our little ones. True, said Kakbhushundi with great compassion. But think, who made the twigs and straw that you use as building material? Who made the bushes and the tall grasses in which you make your nest? And who made the seeds, berries, and insects that you feed to your little ones? There was a soft chirp as the pheasant digested this. Bhakti, continued Kakbhushundi, ensures that despite sorrow and difficulty, the equanimity of one's mind is not shaken for very long. Bhakti for Bhagwan creates a protective canopy of grace over us, like a thick branch of a tree or the big leaves of a bush that shield us from the rain. The branch or the bush, he said, does not stop the rain, but it prevents us birds from getting soaked. Troubles do come in life, but the minds of devotees remain peaceful. or if they temporarily lose their calmness, they regain it soon enough. That is the fruit of bhakti. No one moved, but the expressions on the faces of the birds said it all. No matter what the challenges in their lives, and there were always many, Bhagwan ultimately ensured their well-being. It is important, continued Kakbhushundi, to understand how one's attitude makes all the difference in the world. See how the different characters react to Sri Ram's exile in the forest. Ram himself considered it to be most beneficial because not only would he enjoy satsang with the rishis and munis, but he would also have an opportunity to be with birds and animals. Best of all, his beloved brother Bharat would become king. Nothing appeared terrible to Ram, and he harbored no ill feelings towards Kekai or his father. As for Sumitra, she felt that if Ram became king and remained in Ayodhya, he would have numerous attendants and Lakshman would have little opportunity to serve him. But if he went with Ram to the forest, then he would be able to constantly serve him. In the case of Sita, she felt that if she shared every joy of her husband, how could she let him bear hardship alone? Her happiness lay in being with her husband and serving him. What does that teach us? Asked Kakbhushundi. That our life too is how we view it, hooted the wise owl, who spoke little but said something meaningful whenever he did. Kakbhushundi nodded his head in approval and then resumed his story. Sri Ram, Sita Devi and Lakshman, he said, were now ready to depart. Raja Dashrath instructed his minister Sumantra to take them to the forest in a chariot, drive them around for a few days, and then bring them back. The king hoped that they could be persuaded to return, although in his heart he knew that would not happen. As the chariot departed, a whole procession of children, youth, women, men, and the elderly followed. Ayodhya was where Ram was. People found no joy in living in Ayodhya without Ram. Neither did the birds and animals. They too were utterly downcast. The chariot and all those following it arrived at the bank of the river Tamasa. From sheer fatigue, people fell asleep. In the dead of the night, Ram awoke Sumantra and asked him to drive the chariot in such a way that no one would be able to know which way they had gone. Ram knew that the people of Ayodhya would not be able to endure this journey for very long. They needed to go back. And in this way, he was able to shake everyone off his trail and reach Shringaverpur near the holy Ganga. What happened thereafter, concluded Kakbhushundi, we shall see in the next session.